Hi everyone, it's Galvan here, and this is my third in the Hyperkin Retron 5 testing videos. If you haven't seen the previous ones, I'll put a link to the playlist below where you'll be able to see not only the ones that I've done already, but also future ones when they get released. You'll also, in the description, be able to see the list of games that I currently have issues with, and also where issues have been resolved and what version of the firmware was used to resolve that. The last point. Basically, if you don't know what I'm doing, I'm testing all my games on the Retron 5 to see, along with accessories, to see what works, what doesn't work. Obviously let you guys know, I let Hyperkin know, and hopefully they'll then release firmware updates to try and resolve some of that, how things go. So the first game that I'm going to talk about that's not working at the moment is this one. It's Free by Free Eyes for the Super Famicom. Now this suffers from a problem that most of the Super Nintendo games that have battery backup suffer from, and that is that they either, when the system imports the save, it wipes the cartridge, or when the system writes back to the cartridge, it either does it incorrectly and either leaves you with a wiped cartridge or other issues. So this has that problem. I had a save on here, that's now wiped. It's still stored on my Hyperkin on the Retron 5. I can still play it on the Retron 5 and play my save. Obviously with the 1.5, as I said last time, if you go in and reset the game, you lose that save data, you're unable to read it, and obviously it's not on the cart either, so you can't just re-import them, which is not good. So it's kind of stuck in Retron 5 limbo almost. It's just stuck on the system. That's the only place I can get it, and then I can only play it through that thing, and there will be a point that will then obviously may get lost, which is kind of a shame. So that's that one. Now the next game, if you remember on my last video, I said that the Donkey Kong Country 2 and Donkey Kong Country 3 both had save issues that were unreliable. They either didn't restore properly. Donkey Kong Country, exact same problem. It imported to the Retron 5. When I then checked the cart after it imported, it lost one of the saves of the 3. I then tried to restore the save back from the Retron 5 to the car, and that lost another one of the 3. So it was down to just one save. It's very glitchy. It's not accurate. Luckily at the moment the save is still on the Retron 5, so I'm hoping that when I go back to, I'll be able to restore the save back to this, and it should then work and be back to where it was. So hopefully. Other games that have had the same battery problem where the game has been imported to the Retron 5, been wiped from the cartridge, is Exhuast Heat and Super Mario All-Stars. They both have, when I imported the save, it was removed from the cartridge. And obviously writing back to the cart didn't always work. Tried it a couple of times, it just doesn't always work. Another couple of games that have save issues are Super Mario World 2, Yoshi's Island, and Mario Paint. They both just basically, upon importing save data, would then wipe the cart. Restoring the data to the cart doesn't always work. I'm wondering really whether a lot of this is actually down to the 1.5 firmware issue where it resets, doesn't read the save data if you reset the game. So I might find that 1.6 will resolve all of these just purely on that basis. But currently neither of these two work. Obviously Mario Paint uses the mouse worked fine. Also the mouse works fine with Terminator 2 the arcade game, which is obviously another way of playing the game rather than using a controller. Because I find using the mouse on Terminator 2 is better than using the scope or the controller. It just seems more precise. Now the last two Super Nintendo games I'm going to talk about are these. It's Legend of Zelda, Link to the Past, and F-Zero. Two brilliant Super Nintendo games. Again, same problem, battery saves. Once the game is imported, it's wiped the save from the cart, and restoring it may not resolve it. When I restored F-Zero, it was still blank. When I restored Legend of Zelda Link to the Past, it restored one of my saves. The other two were basically corrupted. Again, I'm hoping all this is resolved with the 1.6 firmware update. Obviously once I've finished checking on other games, I'll let you guys know. Now these three games I'm going to say at once because of they're obviously incompatible with the Retron 5, and these are Famicom Disk System games. My ones are Mario Golf USA, Mario Golf Japan courses, and Castlevania. The reason why these don't work is because the Retron 5 cannot use the Famicom Disk System, because of once the ROM is imported for the Famicom Disk System itself, the Retron 5 doesn't see this system hardware, so therefore it can't load the games. Same problems as we have with the Sufami Turbo, Super Game Boy. But interesting enough, because of the way the information has been imported, the system's trying to see the hardware, but it can't, because obviously it's emulated. So it actually reports it as the battery's not being correct, and it also glitched out the graphics on the loader screen. Now the next 3 games that don't work with the Retron 5 are these are Famicom Disk System games. I've got Famicom Golf USA courses, Japanese courses, and Castlevania. These don't work purely because the system cannot read the discs from the disk system once it's read the ROM into the Retron 5, because it doesn't recheck the hardware constantly. So the disk system accessory does get read into the initial boot, it just doesn't go back and check for the state of the disk drive or whether there's any discs in it. In fact, it reports that there's a battery issue, which is the same if you have no batteries plugged into the system and no power supply to it, and also glitches the screen, which I'll put a link. I'll put this photo so you can see that. The next one that doesn't work is this is the Family Basic. It's the Nintendo programming keyboard. You can put the cartridge into the Retron 5 and you'll recognise it, but it doesn't. When it try and boot up, you get a grey screen. The reason why is because the cart is looking for the keyboard, which needs to be on the Famicom extension port. If you don't know, basically the Famicom has an additional port on it, on the front on the normal Famicom and on the side on the Famicom AV units, which are a 16 pin connector port, which is the same as a Neo Geo connector that is used for these accessories. Even Japanese, the version of the light gun and the Japanese power gloves use the same connector as well, and the power glove, as far as I'm aware, only uses enough pins to match the original NES controller. At some point I'm going to try making a lead to convert Famicom extension to NES controller ports, so hopefully I'll try my power glove at some point, but unfortunately the Family Basic requires more than the standard 8 or 9 pins that the NES has in its control port. Now another accessory that won't work with the Retron 5, partly because it doesn't have the Famicom port on it, but also because of the fact that the Retron 5 is output in HD, and these devices are designed to use the old CRT technology rather than flat screens and things like that. This is the Family Computer's 3D system. Like I said, it won't work. I don't have any games that actually work with. I've just got the system, but again, because of the TVs being HD and need to be flat screens, or most of them are flat screens, this will not work with that. So that's another piece of technology that's obviously on the no work list. And the last thing I'm going to talk about today is this. This is the double player wireless head-to-head system for the NES. This doesn't work. I'm guessing that maybe it needs a bit more power to run the IR receiver. I can make it work on my NES and test it in Famicom fine. It doesn't work on the Retron 5, so that's obviously, maybe it's just the power level that it needs to run the IR is all I can guess. So that's all the stuff that I've found issues with so far. As is always, the list is going to be extended below. I'm also compiling a compatibility list of what I've tested entirely, not just stuff that hasn't worked, which is on my website. It's on www.cheeky.net. I'll put a link to that one below, and also I'll be passing on anything that I found is not working. I'll be passing information on to Hyperkin as well, so obviously they can look to release firmware updates to resolve those issues where possible. So that's it, thanks a lot and see you later.